This is the Altitude Daily Podcast. Everything you can't miss from today on Altitude Sports Radio. Mosher, Lombardi, and Kane.
Do you think the Broncos will be actively involved in any discussions for these guys, whether it's Devontae Adams, whether it's DK Metcalf, whether it's whoever that's on the market right now? Will they be actively involved?
Well, actively, I bet they'll kick the tires. I bet they will, whether they ever admit it or not. They'll ask around. I mean, Metcalf fits the physical profile Sean Payton wants in a receiver. You're seeing now why when you ask GMs about receivers, they just roll their eyes. I mean, they want the ball more. They want the ball better. They want more money. They want to trade. I mean, they always seem to want something as a position group. And I guess in my time covering the league, I've done far more frustrated wide receiver stories than I have any other position combined. You don't even hear quarterbacks have this much angst publicly as receivers do. And again, it's what you think the value is. Like the Broncos had no interest in the Deebo Samuel sweepstakes. So I guess if you do the math from there, it would seem they have a pretty narrow view of what they would be intrigued by in the veteran receiver market. And I think health plays a big part. How healthy are you? How much are you going to be on the field?
The wide receivers crack me up, Jeff. They are divas. A lot of them are. They fight. They complain. They're hard to deal with, man. I don't know. So you got to get the right guy. Does that come through free agency? Does that come through the draft? I'd rather have a homegrown guy, go out and pick one off the vine that you can make into the guy that you want to have, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think right now they're actively trying to figure out a way to get Courtland Sutton squared away, too. So what would adding a free agent wide receiver do to that? I don't know. Does it upset, and Peyton talks a lot about makeup and chemistry and your locker room and all of those things. What's it do in your locker room if you sign one of these guys, no matter how much they may help you, for what you wouldn't give Courtland Sutton, that type of thing. I think that is a consideration. How big a consideration? I don't know that.
The Altitude Daily. The Morning Sprint.
What does Chris Jones make?
Chris Jones is making 31.75 next year. But he's a Hall of Famer. Chris Jones is a different level of D lineman than Zach Allen is. Zach Allen's a very, very good player. But top 10 in the league? I don't know. I think he's probably in the conversation for that.
He's top 10 for technique in the league.
Okay.
So in a 3-4 structure, you see nose tackle, and then 2 defensive tackles, or some people call them a defensive end, and then you see 2 outside linebackers. The outside linebackers in a 3-4 structure are really the pass rush dollars. That's the money. The defensive end / D tackle in a 3-4 structure, those guys are typically guys that if they're really productive, then they get $5 to $10 million short of what the elite pass rushing dollars do give you.
All right, so let's give him
I'd go $10 million short.
$10 million short would kind of have him where he is right now at 15 and a quarter. A $5 million pay bump gets you into that conversation.
That is fair.
At 20.
That is fair.
I could see them doing that. I could also see them because he feels like, and this is just a feeling, guys. He feels like a guy who just wants to play football. I'm not worried about Zach Allen holding out if you can't come to terms on a contract extension. I don't think he's a dude that would sit out the season if you don't give him his $10 million pay bump. And in a year where you're still, I know the cap hit goes up, or the overall cap goes up, you're still paying off Russ. Right? That still hurts. It's still there. We can't girl math that away. I would be comfortable with them looking at Zach Allen and going, dude, next year, that's your time. We got to pay Nick. He's a more valuable player in this scheme as the edge rusher, the true quarterback.
And market
Right?
Market value.
I'd be cool with them going, next year, man, we'll see. If you're healthy and you continue that trajectory and you are as important to this defense as you were last year, then we have that conversation about a $10 million pay bump. but we've got dollars that need to be utilized in other spaces. You're under contract right now. We have to go out and get a top-tier wide receiver for our young quarterback. That's how I would use that money. And it's just because I have the feeling that Zach Allen isn't a holdout guy.
The Altitude Daily. Columbus, Hastings, and DMAC.
Time, a good 6 weeks.
Well, I know you don't want to down talk other reporters, but it was interesting here, and from a Colorado perspective, that there was reporting that Shedeur Sanders was, I don't know, offensive or didn't have great interviews with teams in the top 10.
Doesn't mean anything to me. Doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay.
I'm not. That's not. I'm not trying to punch down or step on another. I'm just telling you, like, my belief is that Shedeur has come off no issues to people, and I know people that know him, not named Dion, aside from Dion, who say that he's a great kid and that you want him on your team. Like, I had somebody on the phone. I was on the phone with somebody this morning. We were going over that exact issue, and this person was saying that exact thing to me, unsolicited, came up. Okay, going to bat for Shedeur.
Okay,
so as I said to Dion last week, we were on the phone. This week, I'm like, Dion, there are going to be people for the next 2 months who take shots at your son because that's what this process is about.
Was Prime concerned about that?
No, he was not. No, but I said to him that, like, that's what this period is about. Everybody critiques everybody. They critique the quarterbacks more than everybody. They critique the top quarterbacks the most of everybody. And therefore, Cam Ward and Shedeur are going to be subjected to the most scrutiny, whether you like it or not. I said to him, to me, the best thing you can do, tune it out. It doesn't matter. People can say whatever the hell they want to say. Shedeur is going to get drafted high, and he's going to have the chance to show up everybody next year. That's it.
There was a time I saw a slightly out of shape Adam Schefter, I think, attempt a 40 at the combine, and I think he pulled both hamstrings or something of that nature. I didn't see any video of you running the 40s this year, but you were there. Did anybody, while watching these workouts that just jumped off the page for you, went, whoa, okay, I better look into this guy?
Me or Shedeur?
You.
You know, Scott, I think that my athletic abilities have been vastly underrated through the years. I've incurred any number of injuries doing any number of events. DMAC knows this well. I am prone to slipping, wiping out, winding up, being hospitalized. I've had all sorts of issues and great humor. I provided tremendous entertainment to my wife and 2 children. I am the easiest guy in the world to laugh at. But the fact of the matter is I still have some personal athletic accomplishments that I would rival up against anybody. How many NBA championship rings do you win, Scott? 2?
I won one as a player and won one as a broadcaster.
Okay.
The Altitude Daily. Kretman and Lindahl.
So we mentioned the news about Mikko Rantanen earlier. And the news being he's not committing to signing a long-term deal with the Carolina Hurricanes and could very well be on the move again by tomorrow. That's right. Carolina might have to flip Mikko Rantanen to try and get some assets in return after they gave up valuable assets in order to acquire him, most notably Marty Necas and Jack Drury. This is wild. But they made this deal apparently without the assurance that Mikko Rantanen would sign a long-term contract there, and it sounds as though Carolina was not all that interested in a true rental. Which I would say to Carolina, you probably should have worked this out before you put ink to paper, right?
It does tell you how shocked everybody was by all of this, frankly. Because that means Carolina really didn't talk to his agent to tell him what was going on.
You probably should have worked on, and maybe the part of this where this was sort of all done kind of under the cover of darkness, but still, like, reach out to his people.
Yeah, how are you? If I'm Carolina, I would have told Colorado, there's no way we're making this deal till we know his intentions.
Like, and it's, if he's a true rental, then fine. Like, keep him. Try and win the Stanley Cup with Mikko Rantanen, by all means. Because now...
Do you think they overplayed how good of friends he was with Sebastian Aho?
Maybe.
Thinking that he would want to be here with his guy Aho?
The other part of it is like, okay, now as a trade piece, he's like a true rental. Because it sounds like, and granted, Mikko Rantanen he's earned this, but it sounds like he's interested in being a true unrestricted free agent and being able to pick the next hockey team that he plays for.
Yeah, unless he gets somewhere, and enjoys the experience. I will say this. I don't know how much Mikko's traveled the world, but I would
say quite a bit.
I immediately wondered, though, how a guy from Finland coming to Colorado, and I'm not going to say we're junior Finland out here, but I can imagine the mountains, the cool weather. There's probably some similarities to home. And all of a sudden you find yourself in North Carolina. That's got to be a touch of culture shock, man.
Yeehaw.
And on top of it, you're not playing with a guy, you're not playing with a group of dudes you've only known your entire career.
Right.
I don't doubt this is completely unsettling for him. And he probably is like, you know what, I don't want to sign, like to your point, I don't want to sign with anybody. I want the summer to be able to visit and think about some things. That's what I want.
Yeah, I think that was the case. And I really do. I get the impression that it wasn't total BS out of Mikko of like they really thought they were going to get something done in Colorado.
I'm sure he thought so too because everybody else did.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Altitude Daily. Catch us live weekdays on 92.5 FM, the Altitude Sports Radio app, twitch.tv/AltitudeSR, youtube.com/Altitude Sports Radio, and your favorite smart speaker. Say Altitude Sports Radio.